My sister ruined my relationship because she couldn't have her one true love, so I made her watch him fall for me instead. So, my little sister Mia has been pulling the same move since she turned 21. She's on this trip where, because she can't be with her so-called one true love, she feels she has the right to mess with everyone else's happiness. And I'm not talking about some cute, still hung up on her ex thing. No, if you're happy, she'll find a way to ruin it and then blame it on her sob story about her soulmate, some guy named Ethan she hooked up with at a college party 4 years ago. They had one fling, and he never called back. Somehow, this one-night stand turned into her justification for being a total nightmare. It all started with her BFF, Jess. Mia stayed over at Jess's house one weekend, and by Monday, Jess found her boyfriend texting Mia all lovey-dovey. And get this, when Jess found them in bed together, Mia had the audacity to say, "You don't know what it's like to lose your soulmate." Jess was done with her after that. Fast forward to our cousin's engagement party. Mia shows up in a dress more expensive than my apartment's rent, gets super drunk on wine, and hits on the groom in the bathroom. His actual words were, she kept saying I reminded her of someone special. Luckily, he was a decent guy and told his fiancée right away. But Mia cried to our parents about it, claiming that seeing happy couples triggers her trauma. Our mom actually bought her a spa weekend to help her heal. By the time I met Ryan, I knew what was up. I kept him far away from family dinners, removed Mia from my social media, and told him my sister was dealing with stuff and needed space. It worked for 2 years. We got engaged last spring, planning just a small, simple ceremony with close friends. But I made one mistake, mentioning it at our mom's birthday dinchens. "Ner?" Mia's eyes lit up like a Christmas tree. "I'm so happy for you," she said, all smiles while hugging me, asking when she could meet him. Not long after, Ryan shows me his phone, laughing about how my sister found him on Instagram with some fake account, sending desperate messages. We laughed it off, and he blocked her. 3 weeks before the wedding, I came down with the flu. Ryan was supposed to be at his brother's golf thing, but a friend who lived near Mia's complex texted, saying she'd seen Ryan's car parked there. Feeling sick, I drove over, used the spare key Mia gave me, and found them on her couch, looking all cozy. Mia turned on the waterworks and whispered, "I'm so sorry. He just reminds me so much of Ethan." And Ryan? He didn't even try to fix things with me. That's when I decided Mia needed a reality check. I already knew Ethan from Instagram. We'd been casual follows for a few years, but I slid into his DMs with a plan to turn the tables. Ethan was game. Turns out, Mia had gone full-on stalker, visiting his mom and spinning tales about their epic love. Ethan sent me all the receipts, photos, videos, even a voice message from his mom, apologizing for any confusion. So, we plotted our revenge. Ethan would join me for a family lunch, and we'd act like a happy couple. When the day came, we walked in together, and guess who was there? Mia, looking like she'd seen a ghost. I introduced Ethan, and she was speechless, cycling through shades of red and white. During lunch, she tried to chat him up about some imaginary college memories, but Ethan stayed glued to my side, making it clear he wasn't interested. Eventually, Mia bolted to the bathroom in tears. I followed her, and she accused me of doing this to hurt her. But I told her straight up. She wrecked my engagement because she couldn't handle seeing me happy. What's fair is fair. She screamed about how Ethan was hers, but I reminded her that she built a fantasy out of nothing. I walked out, leaving her sobbing on the floor. After that, my mom called, basically asking me to have empathy for Mia and her fragile heart. But I'd had enough. I wasn't going to let everyone keep treating Mia like she's just some broken doll, ignoring the chaos she causes. So, she always had her claws out. But this time, she'd turned them on herself. On Monday, Ethan was still in town, so I thought, Why not take him to brunch with some of my friends who knew all the dirt about what Mia's been up to since high school? Ethan was a total showstopper, super polite, kind, charming, and totally into me. My friends were all giving each other looks, clearly impressed, and some even whispered things like, "This revenge is too perfect." The highlight of the day? In the afternoon, Ethan posted a pic of us on Instagram. It's just the two of us hugging in a park with a simple caption. Sometimes love shows up when you least expect it. At first, the comments were chill. Just a cousin and an old classmate tossing in heart emojis. But then Mia chimed in with, "This is disgusting. You know what he means to me." Ethan handled it like a pro, liking her comment and hitting back with, "We hooked up once, Mia. Once. And you followed me around the next day. That's not love. It's obsession." Boom! That post blew up in no time. People who'd known Mia forever started saying stuff like, "Finally, someone said it. I always thought the way she talked about him was weird. Karma's real." Mia didn't say anything on the post, but bombarded me with WhatsApp voice messages, crying, screaming, and asking how I could see Ethan against her. One message ended with, "You're ruining my life for revenge." I just texted back, "No, I'm just showing how you rebuild after being wrecked, something you never learned." Then I blocked her. But I knew she wouldn't let it slide. Sure enough, Thursday night, she posted a selfie on Instagram, all crying with puffy eyes, low light, and the caption, "It's tough seeing your sister steal the guy you love. Laugh at your pain and get applause for it." I'm not perfect, but nobody deserves this. It got over 1,000 likes and comments like, "Stay strong," and "You'll get through." What really stung? Some people I thought were close to me reposted it. The next morning, I swung by my parents' house. Mom was surprised to see me. I told them it was time for a chat. Dad was in the living room, and Mia came down like she was at a funeral, all sweats and tied-back hair, trying to look like the victim. "Something up?" she asked, almost sweetly. "Yeah, something's up. Enough with your games, making everyone think you're the victim," I said. I stood there facing them. "Mom, Dad, did you see her post? Is that fair? Remember who trashed whose engagement?" Mom tried to calm things down. "Honey, this isn't how you fix things." But I wasn't having it. "No, you're going to listen now," I told them. I turned to Mia. "You went after Ryan, stabbed me in the back, apologized with fake tears, and thought you'd still be the family princess. But now it's your turn to cry, and no sad post will erase the truth everyone knows. Your mask is off, Mia." Mia cried silently while Dad just looked down. I was done being the forgotten daughter while she put on her little shows. I left without waiting for a reply. In the car, Ethan was waiting with the radio on and coffee in the holder. "How'd it go?" he asked. "It was awesome," I said, feeling lighter. It was finally clear to Mia she had no control anymore. Ethan smiled and said, "You know, getting back at her was more therapeutic than I thought." "Yeah, and you know what's best? Part 2 is just kicking off." Part 2 started with an invite to my friend Andre's restaurant launch, a big deal with influencers and social media buzz. Mia always faked having a life like that, posing in store mirrors, pretending to own the clothes, snapping pics of pricey food she'd return later. But this time, she wasn't on the list. I was, and so was Ethan. We rocked up, and the entrance photographer snapped us, and one pic even made a city event profile with the caption, "Couple of the Moment." Mia saw it the next day and posted some vague shade on her stories. "Some people need the spotlight. I prefer depth." Depth? Seriously? From someone who tried to hook up with my fiancé just weeks before my wedding? That Saturday was Amanda's wedding. Our cousin. Mia and Amanda were pretty tight, so you'd think she'd try to smooth things over. But Amanda called me herself, saying, "Mel, make sure you come, and bring Ethan." Everyone's done pretending with Mia. Mia showed up solo, wearing a way too tight dress and a plastic smile, pretending not to notice us. Ethan was all cuddly with me, and she just had to watch. The best moment was during the bride and groom's dance when Amanda discreetly called us over to join. As Ethan and I spun around, Mia tried to butt in. "Ethan, can I talk to you?" Thinking she looked irresistible. He calmly said, "No, I'm busy loving your sister." Mia was stunned. I took a breath, looked her in the eye, and said, "And for once, I'm truly being loved. Something you never got because you always confused attention with love." She stumbled back, tripped on her dress, and no one laughed. Even worse, everyone ignored her. She stormed out, and I kept dancing, feeling like I'd finally won. The cherry on top came a few weeks later when I got invited to a podcast about overcoming obstacles. I shared my story. No names, just the tale of a narcissistic sister, a cheating fiancé, some sweet revenge, and unexpected love. It went viral, and people all over the country reached out saying they connected with it. I know Mia heard it because she DM'd me. "Do you really need to expose yourself for applause?" I shot back with, "It's not exposure, it's freedom. I spent years in your drama, but now it's my story and my stage." She never responded. Word got around that Mia was withdrawing. Brands she wanted to partner with ghosted her. People started talking about her Ethan obsession. The image she'd tried so hard to curate with filters and fake captions was crumbling, and it wasn't me who tore it down. She did that herself. As for me, I just kept living. Ethan wasn't just part of my revenge plan anymore. Somewhere in the chaos, he'd become my refuge. A friend turned true partner. Every day I realized what Mia tried to break only made me stronger, while she, the master manipulator, was left with nothing but silence for company. It hit me one ordinary morning, weeks after Amanda's wedding, that I wasn't thinking about Ryan anymore. In my apartment, the sun shining gently, Ethan was making pancakes in the kitchen. Shirtless, humming a throwback song, and doing silly little dances that cracked me up since the first week he stayed over. So there I was, having a good laugh, realizing that Ryan was nothing more than a faint memory, like a shadow in a dusty corner of my mind. It wasn't just about getting back at someone anymore. Nope, not at all. It was about how Ethan would hold my hand even when he didn't have to. It was the way he listened to my childhood stories with genuine interest, even though he'd heard them all a million times before. And how he'd look at me while I was curled up on the couch reading like he didn't need anything else in the world. Honestly, I didn't expect any of this. When I sent that impulsive message to Ethan, asking him to help me shatter my sister's little fantasy world, I figured it'd be a temporary thing. I thought he'd just pretend for a bit, until my sister gave up, and I got my little piece of revenge. But then, life didn't just snap back to normal. Ethan became part of my daily life, my go-to person. He started hanging out with my friends, and even mingled with my coworkers. Soon enough, he had toothbrushes and t-shirts casually left at my place. When my car broke down, he was the first there, coffee and tow truck ready. And that one time I had a nerve-wracking anxiety attack before a big presentation, he just sat with me on the kitchen floor, holding my hand until I calmed down. Ryan? Not even a blip on my radar. He, who used to be my everything, was now just irrelevant. Because I had someone who showed up, even on the most ordinary days. Ryan made future promises, but Ethan delivered present actions. One night, Ethan and I went out to this new restaurant that had just opened. Nothing fancy, just good vibes and great food. He took my hand across the table and said, "You know what's funny? We started this to fool your sister, but I never pretended anything." I just sat there for a moment, heart doing flips, and replied with a shy smile, "I'm not pretending anymore. or either. We both laughed and toasted with our wine glasses. "To the best revenge, then," he said. "No," I corrected him, "to what comes after." And for the first time in forever, I felt peaceful. No more resentment, no ghosts from the past, no craving for validation. Just being there for myself, and he was right there with me. Then, a few days later, while wandering downtown, I saw Ryan. He was alone, looking like the weight of the world was on his shoulders. It was automatic. I looked away, not because it hurt, but because it just didn't matter anymore. He saw me too and hesitated, almost like he was going to come over. But then he saw Ethan approaching, holding my hand, and he stopped. Maybe he finally got it. There was no room for him anymore because someone else had claimed that space with genuine love and sincerity, without even making a single promise. That night, I hugged Ethan tighter and whispered without thinking, "Thank you for showing up." He gave me that calm, knowing smile that said everything, even in silence. It hit me then. Sure, revenge gave me justice, but it was the aftermath that brought me love. Months passed, and what started out as a sharp response to my sister's antics turned into the sweetest part of my life. Ethan was no longer just part of a plan or a scheme. He was my home, the partner I laughed with and shared my silences with. We were basically living together most nights, alternating between my place and his, where his golden retriever insisted on sleeping between us like some little guardian of our growing story. He officially asked me to be his girlfriend one simple night on the couch over pizza, straight from the box, while we watched a goofy documentary about marine life. "Do you think it's too early for this?" he asked, balancing the pizza box on his lap, grinning. "Or is it already too late?" I laughed. "I think we've already been through more than most couples who've been together for 20 years. I said, "It's just a title, but yes, I want to." And that's how it went. Mia, my sister, vanished from our conversations, social media, everything. She blocked Ethan on all platforms, even though he never reached out to her. She went around telling people I stole the love of her life just to rub it in her face. But she conveniently forgets how she wrecked my wedding in the first place. You know what? I didn't care anymore. I thought I would. That I'd keep mulling over her not acknowledging her own role in the mess, that I'd want some non-existent apology. But finally, letting go of the need for Mia's approval was the most liberating thing ever. She didn't forgive me. She didn't come to my birthday, didn't answer my mom's messages about Christmas. She stayed away, wrapped up in her own hurt and anger. As for me, I moved on with my life. I traveled with Ethan to the countryside, met his mom officially this time, helped out with painting the walls of his new clinic, and learned to deal with his messy but adorable dog. Little by little, we built a routine that was real, lighthearted, and honest, no masks or games needed. One day, we were just swinging in a hammock, listening to the wind and birds. He asked, "Do you still think all of this was just revenge?" I paused, then smiled and turned to him. Maybe it started that way, but it ended up being the best thing I ever did for myself. He kissed my forehead, and we sat there in silence. Revenge had turned into love, and that must have been what hurt Mia the most. She always wanted to be the center of attention, the prettiest, the most desired, the one everyone looked up to. But it was away from all that drama, off stage, that I found something real, something she spent her whole life pretending to have. I was never the family star, never the most adored, never the perfect sister. But somehow, I was the only one who learned to turn pain into strength, rejection into freedom, and revenge into love. And no one could take that away from me. Then, 6 months later, just when I thought all the drama had settled, Ryan called me out of the blue. I ignored it the first couple of times, but Ethan was beside me and said, "Pick up, you need to close this chapter." So I did, keeping my voice as neutral as possible. "Hello? Melissa, it's me," Ryan said, sounding worn out and defeated. Can I see you? Talk in person?" I thought about hanging up, but Ethan was right. There were things that needed saying. We agreed to meet at this neutral cafe, far from any places that held our old memories. When I got there, he was already sitting, looking disheveled with dark circles under his eyes. It was like he had aged years in just a few months. "Thanks for coming," he said, avoiding eye contact. "What do you want, Ryan?" I asked flatly. He let out a deep sigh. "I wanted to apologize." "Oh, really?" I said, feeling unimpressed. "And explain." "Explain what? That you were holding hands with my sister 3 weeks before our wedding?" "It wasn't like that," he murmured, almost pleading. "She came to me when you were sick, said she needed to talk about you, that there were things from your past I needed to know before marrying you." My stomach knotted up. It was so typical of Mia. "And you just believed her?" "She showed me what looked like evidence, said you'd ruined some girl's life in high school, that you were vindictive, manipulative. There were old conversations, out of context. I got scared, confused." He finally looked at me. "And that's why you slept with her?" "No." He shook his head desperately. "She confessed she'd been in love with me since we met, but stayed silent out of respect for you. If I called off the wedding, she'd be there for me. I was drinking, overwhelmed by everything she told me about you." I interrupted. "None of that makes what you did okay." "I know." Tears welled in his eyes. 5 minutes after you left, I realized I'd been played, that she lied, manipulated me. I destroyed the best thing in my life because of her." I was silent for a long time, finally speaking. "You know what hurts the most, Ryan? It's not even the act itself. It's that you didn't trust me. In 2 years together, you picked her words over mine." So there I was, trying to figure out how we ended up here. He looked down, all awkward and stuff, and said he'd tried calling me 1,000,000 times, and even came by my place, but I was never around. I guess he finally got the hint when he saw the pics of me with Ethan and realized it was too late. But honestly, it was already over the moment he touched her hair. I stood up and told him, "Thanks for explaining. It really helps me feel confident that I made the right call." He gave me one last look and asked, "Are you happy with him?" And for the first time during this whole convo, I actually smiled. "Happier than I ever thought I could be," I said. I walked away without any hard feelings, just knowing that sometimes you've got to shut one door so another can open. Talking to my family was way tougher. It took my mom 3 months to reach out and ask to meet up for lunch, just the two of us, so we could sort things out. When I saw her, she looked older, more tired, and the lines around her eyes seemed deeper. "How are you?" she asked, kinda unsure. "Good, Mom. Really good. And Ethan's great, too. We're both good." She nodded, all nervous, fiddling with her napkin, and finally said she needed to apologize for all those years she didn't see things clearly. I felt a pang in my chest. "Mom, you don't have to," but she cut me off. "Let me finish," she said, looking me directly in the eyes. She admitted she always knew Mia was difficult, but thought that maybe with more attention, Mia would change. In doing so, she kinda left me to deal with Mia's mess on my own. Tears welled up in my eyes. After I called them out, Mom started piecing things together. The friends Mia lost, the ex-boyfriends, the stories that didn't add up. She realized that Mia and I were telling very different sides of the same story, and she always chose to believe Mia's. "Why?" I asked, my voice all choked up. "Because she cried louder," Mom admitted, voice cracking. "You always seemed like you could handle it, and I mistook your strength for not needing support." We sat there quietly for a bit. "And how's Mia?" I asked. "She moved away and started therapy. Said she needed a fresh start." Mom hesitated before adding, She wants you to know she realizes she was wrong, but she's not ready to apologize yet. And I'm not ready to forgive. At least not now, I said honestly. I get it, Mom said, reaching out her hand across the table. Can I try to be a better mom? I took her hand. We can work on being a better family, but it's going to take time. She smiled with tears in her eyes. I have time. A few weeks later, my dad came by my place unexpectedly with a bouquet of flowers, looking a bit unsure of what to say. Can I come in? He asked, kind of shy. Of course, Dad. Ethan was in the kitchen and politely said hi before giving us some space. I like him, Dad said straight up. Seems like a good guy. He is. Dad told me he knew Mia was a handful, but he thought it was up to my mom to deal with it, which just left both Mia and me to suffer. Dad, but he stopped me. No, let me finish, he said, sitting down. I wasn't the dad you needed. I didn't protect you like I should have, and I failed to teach you guys that siblings are supposed to have each other's backs. I felt a lump in my throat. He mentioned Ryan and what Mia did, shaking his head. If it were me, I'd never forgive. But you did something amazing and turned all that pain into something positive. I'm proud of you. Those were the words I'd been waiting to hear my whole life. Thanks, Dad. Do you think there's still time for me to be a better father? He asked. I smiled, even though tears were forming in my eyes. There's always time. That night, I told Ethan everything, and he just listened, holding my hand. How do you feel? He asked when I was done. Free, I replied, surprised by my own answer. For the first time? Truly free. And about Mia? He prompted. I thought for a bit. I hope she finds her peace, even if it's away from me, but I genuinely hope she finds it. He smiled and kissed my forehead. You're amazing. You know that? I corrected him. We're amazing. And it was true. It was never just about getting back at Mia. It was about realizing that I deserve real love, respect, and support. It was about seeing that family isn't just about who you're related to by blood, but also who chooses to stick by your side. And sometimes, you need to say goodbye to those who don't appreciate you to find someone who truly does. Now, when I wake up next to Ethan with our dog snoozing at our feet, I know all those rough times were worth it, because they led me here, to him, to us, to peace.